gas racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
It's Saturday night, and there's no better place for racing than the hometown Charlotte, USA. Live here tonight for the 9th week of the season. It's the Saturday Night Racing League live at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Challenger Series. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside Jeff Wright. Camera packs provided by Dougie Beard. Jeff, we're wrapping up the regular season. We're running out of time for some of these drivers to find victory lane, and the top 12 has almost been decided.
Yeah, it's crunch time, getting closer, if you will, and some guys that haven't punched their way into the playoffs just yet, looking for not only a good day today for some points, but also potentially to maybe get that first win for a lot of these guys. Remember, each win comes with 3 bonus points as you head into the playoffs, so all very important, and I know Charlotte puts on some good racing, so I'm excited to be here tonight, Bradley.
And you look here with Philip Brewer leading the points. Ben Laughter about 15, 16 points off that cut mark with Stephen Davis. You got Caleb Weekly outside the top 12. Max Cost, who has a continuation of, I believe, the longest consistent attendance here at Saturday Night Racing. You got Bryce Shoemaker, a lot of big names that are outside of this top 12. And with only a handful of races to go, Jeff, Charlotte could be one of those nights, this intermediate oval, that we find another name to victory lane, and we can turn these seasons around for some of these guys outside that top 12.
Yeah, and all those guys looking on the outside that are looking in, you really got to have a solid night tonight. You have a bad race tonight, you're probably going to take yourself out of contention in making that top 12. So all these guys are going to have to, hit their marks, make sure they don't make any big mistakes, especially on pit lane. We always talk about pit road being the place where you can win and lose races, and can be a place that some guys could maybe lose their playoff hopes tonight. So look for that to be a big talking point tonight.
For some reason, Dover popped up. That was part of the schedule at one point during the season, but we're at Charlotte here tonight, June 15th, 1960. The Mecca Motorsports, the hometown. This is the backyard for a lot of these race teams in the real life, and it's a track that we're oh so familiar with. Atlanta, Texas, and Las Vegas, a lot of tracks based off of the telemetry and the design of this racetrack. It made for great shows. It still puts on great shows, and iRacing is no different here tonight. Race analysis coming up on your screen as well, and talk about 100 laps with a pit road speed limit at 50 miles per hour. 4 tire sets available, Jeff, and this is a little bit of a long race, 150 miles, so 80% fuel. I would expect these drivers to have to pit twice.
Yeah, it's going to be a two-stop race for sure. And depending on where those cautions fall tonight, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to decide when you want to take those tire sets. It's a hot, slick racetrack tonight. So 4 sets isn't a lot. You're going to have to manage those wisely if you're going to be good tonight.
115 degrees, the track temperature 82 degrees, and it's full sun for the most part, partly cloudy. It should heat this track up even more as they race around it. But it's time to take you down to the track and get that grid up on the screen as they run right now. Unfortunately, my telemetry is broken for tonight, so I won't have official numbers, but it's Jared Skinner starting on the pole. No, it's not. We're going to have to go off of maybe just the grid here, the simple grid. We're going to try to show the race results page. Something's broken here, Jeff, and I apologize for that, but that's what happens. You get in here a little bit late. They've delayed the green, so maybe once they cross the start-finish line, I'll have actual telemetry. But it appears, based off of the numbers, that the 44, Philip Brewer, is actually starting on the pole here tonight, so we'll just bring that up. It's not very often that we actually break this thing, but apparently hopping in somewhere between that race session is the reason that happened.
Yeah, and actually, I got the results right up here on my iRacing telemetry, Bradley. So I can go ahead and list off our starting top 10 at least here before we get ready to go green. And while I'm doing so, I'll ask you if you could pull up your stream in the Discord. That would be great. But yeah, Philip Brewer going to be starting on the pole tonight as he's had quite the season, leading the points, looking for another very solid race tonight. Chuck Sweeting, he will roll off second. Brandon Wallace, how about that qualifying effort for the 99? Rolling off in third. Then you have Bryce Shoemaker in that number 54. He rolls off fourth. Jordan Trask starts in the 5th position tonight. Stephen Davis will roll off 6th. Keith Shoemaker, how about that qualifying effort? He starts 7th tonight. Hunter Sr. will roll off 8th. Morgan Cook in 9th. Rounding out our top 10, it's going to be Judson Curtis as the pace car is on the back straightaway here, Bradley. And we're just moments away from going racing here at such a fun mile and a half. There's a lot of them on the schedule, but Charlotte tends to be the favorite of a lot of the drivers.
Very narrow groove here in 3 and 4. That'll be the turn 4 wall, what you'll want to look out for here. And they're going to continue here on the grid. So I think we're going to go a few more laps, but you got through that top 10 for us, Jeff. Do you have the rest of the numbers on back?
We certainly do. It's going to be Michael Muncy starting in 11th, and alongside him in 12th, it's going to be Justin Ritchie. He had a top 5 race here last season in this very car. Look for Justin to be on the march forward early. Jared Skinner still looking for his first win of the season. He starts 13th. Caleb Weekly had a top 10 run a season ago at this very racetrack. He starts 14th. Chris Rude in that number 32 will start in the 15th spot alongside Broderick Vaclavic, making his return to the Challenger Series for first time in a couple weeks, I want to say. It's been a minute since we've seen him. And then Ben Laughter, he will be starting in the 17th spot. Ben had a 10th place finish here a season ago at Charlotte. So a good mile and a half for Ben. We talked about his solid finish at Watkins Glen just a week ago. Looking to back that up with a good finish tonight. Jared Green will start in 18th. Tad Dabney in the number 9 car rolls off in the 19th spot. And it's Tim Shinosky rounding out our top 20. And then a few guys that did not qualify. Noah Mahalski, surprised by that, our race winner here from last season. He starts 21st. Then it goes Matt Shinosky, 22nd. Benjamin Richards, 23rd. Dylan Rutzelk in the 24th starting spot. Christian Key and Matt Dominic rounding out the field with 26 cars.
Well, let's try the start of this race. We're off to a little bit of a rocky start, but I think these drivers in the Challenger Series are going to put a good show on and make up for it. Here goes Philip Brewer. Green flag is out. We're live for week number 9 in the Challenger Series. Brewer leads lap number 1. Shoemaker in the 54. He's been on a little bit of a hiatus here. Haven't seen the 54 car on the racetrack for a little while, Jeff, and he's running second. Looks like he's been practicing in the background, but we've got 3 wide down the backstretch.
Yeah, it's going to be a little chaos here to start this race, as we're going to see 2 and 3 wide as these drivers scramble for position. But talking about Bryce Shoemaker there in the 54, good to see him back to the Challenger Series. And this is a mile and a half that he really enjoys and he tends to run very well at. So not surprised at all to see Bryce Shoemaker here running up inside the top 5. Just behind him is Chuck Sweeting, as we see him making a little bit of a ground here on the exit of the corner. But yeah, Charlotte, a very fun racetrack. We talked about the mile and a half that offer multi-lane racing. And I want to say, you know, Charlotte, at least 1 and 2, I feel like offers that. 3 and 4, it seems like more times than not, you really want to be tucked down towards the bottom of the racetrack, kind of painting that line. But at least part of the track feels multi-groove to a lot of these drivers.
Speaking of drivers we haven't seen here in SNR in a while, there's one racing to the inside of Caleb Weekly. That's the 51 of Morgan Cook. Haven't heard his name in an SNR broadcast for most of this season, and he had a lot of success there in season 2 of the Challenger Series. I believe he had back-to-back wins between Kansas and Iowa, and this 51 car running at 15th right now.
Yeah, a couple of wins to his name last season, and I want to say this is, the first time that we've seen him here for season 3, and we know he's good at Charlotte. Last season, just looking back at the stats, he posted the top 10 finish. He grabbed 8th and actually led a few laps in that race as well. So look for Morgan Cook to be on the way towards the front here in the early stages. We always talk about trying to take care of your stuff early, especially with this hot racetrack. It was about 115 degrees when we dropped the green flag, and that's probably going to go up as this race continues. So the hotter this track gets, the more rubber that the track is going to take, and the more squirrely these cars are going to be. And I think you can kind of see it right now. These cars are all over the place.
Yeah, and you're watching there with Jared Green and the 6 car, the 03, and Noah Mahalski, who wasn't able to qualify here tonight. We do have onboard telemetry with this car. Let's ride around with the 03 and Mahalski and see his point of view.
Yeah, and if anybody knows how to get around this racetrack, it would certainly be Noah Mahalski, the winner or defending winner of this race just a season ago. And
problems right in front of him. 99. Oh, Mahalski barely able to slip past that.
Yeah, that was a tight, close call, and quite the time to go on board with them, as we saw Noah Mahalski had to navigate his way through that. So looks like he's going to be okay, but definitely a couple of cars heavily involved there with some severe damage.
Brandon Wallace, Benjamin Richards totaled there through the quad oval. We'll take it back as we watch the iRacing pace car pull out of pit road. Let's take an instant replay. Here's the aftermath, the carnage. You got parts flying everywhere. And Jeff, you were talking about how it's going to get squirrely in the flat part of this racetrack. We've seen it time and time again coming through the quad oval where this car just wants to step out.
Yeah, you can't relax at all at this racetrack, and especially with it being as hot as it is, you kind of have the banking fall away from you as you exit the corner, and cars can get light, and you know, with it being hot, that's something that can happen. And unfortunately going to take out guys like Benjamin Richards, Brandon Wallace, Michael Muncie there in the 19. He got a big piece of it. So already some good drivers taken out early here. And with a caution this early too, this opens up the door for some strategy now. It'll be interesting to see who chooses to hit pit lane, who chooses to stay out.
It was Michael Muncie in the 99 of Brandon Wallace that got together, 31 in the aftermath, and then Ben Richards nowhere to go. But let's take a quick on board here. This is with Justin Ritchie. You see the checkup. Ritchie has nowhere to go, and then he ends up getting double tapped. The 88 down there, there's Ben Laughter is involved, and he's, you know, near the cut line. There's a lot of things to unpack with just that glimpse of an incident. We're 5 laps in.
Yeah, I'm already seeing some guys like Justin Ritchie, Jared Skinner. They have decided to come down pit lane here and use a set of tires. And it looks like a handful of drivers have or are going to do so. A lot of the leaders too, Philip Brewer, and it could just be some of those damaged race cars staying out. But, you know, only 8 laps in, but that's a lot of tire wear. And it looks like, I believe this is that Hunter Sr. maybe electing to take 2 tires. He might be able to grab the lead out of this. I think I saw Caleb Weekly elect to do the same as well. Get some track position. Caleb is one of those guys that is on the cut line, really needs a good race today. This might have been the opportunity. Pull some strategy here and get some track position. Now you just got to hang on here and see where you kind of cycle out.
Well, it's Chuck Sweeting who stays out with Judson Curtis, Jordan Trask, Stephen Davis, Jared Green, Noah Mahalski. Mahalski, of course, going to make this call. He just dodged a crash. He's feeling lucky right now. And then it's Dylan Retzolk in the 23 in 7th position, who will be at the tail end of this. A new name here that I haven't read. 23 car. Man, we're having some problems with our ATVO tonight, Jeff.
You'll have those sometimes, Bradley, some technical difficulties, but I think we'll be able to get through the night, hopefully. And if I can be of any help, you just let me know. But yeah, Chuck Sweeting electing to stay out here. I do like the call just because the safest part of the racetrack, is typically the front. He's got a buffer of cars between him and the first guys on tires. So it should be a few laps before he would be under pressure from anybody with tires. I think the guys that are most nervous here are the ones that are cycling out to be mid-pack, the guys that maybe took 2 tires or 4 tires, because you're going to be faster than the guys in front of you. But, it just seems like a lot of the times this is where you could get collected in a big-time incident, and especially with us being as close to the playoffs as we are. And a lot of these guys that took the 2 tires, they need a good night tonight. You got to be on your toes here and get through this restart cleanly.
No Cup cars still in the pits with Michael Muncie, Ben Richards, and Brandon Wallace. We still have 22 cars on the racetrack on the lead lap with Justin Ritchie. You got a clip of damage. Matt Shinosky, Keith Shoemaker towards the end of the field here. But it's Chuck Sweeting on the top spot. 29 of Judson Curtis, Stephen Davis. That top 3. Would not be surprised to see Chuck Sweeting lead some laps in this one. He gets around Charlotte really well. Statistically, one of his best tracks. Judson Curtis is not going to be easy, and you got Jordan Trask back there looking for his 3rd win of the season. Remember, Trask is on the edge of that mark, too, for the top 12. Needs to put together a solid night. There we go. For the 2nd time today, we're going to go restart zone and green flag back underway at Charlotte.
Good jump there by Chuck Sweeting. Jordan Trask looks like maybe he spun the tires just a little bit. Wasn't able to get up through the gears as cleanly, as there is a big gap all the way back from the leader to the first side-by-side battle. And the first guy on 4 tires that I'm watching, that's going to be the 44, Philip Brewer. He's on the outside lane, rolling pretty good right now, but you got to be patient here. You got the tires, you got the speed. Just don't put yourself in a spot where you could potentially get taken out.
Yeah, you got to be careful here. He's actually taking it 3 wide off of turn 4. He's going to get a 2-for-1 special. Hunter Sr., one of those cars that took 2 tires. 44 down to the inside. Jordan Trask fell a lot very quickly. Remember, he was restarting there on the inside of the 2nd row. He's already fallen back to around 5th position, and Philip Brewer on 4 fresh ones going to take the inside.
Yeah, I feel like it's just going to be a matter of time until we see that 44 back to the front and back to the point. And you have Noah Mahalski, who's got the most track position he's had all night tonight, so he's in a fairly good spot despite all things. But that 44 is really fast right now, and I think he's just being patient right now. He knows that he doesn't have the clear track just to go up there and run through everybody. I think he's taking his time, letting this thing kind of settle out. And, he knows once they get single filed out here, he's going to be in a really good spot.
Now, Mahalski going to challenge for the 2nd position. Stephen Davis on the outside. Again, not surprised Chuck Sweeting able to lead some laps, but, we're talking about an 8-lap difference roughly on tires, I think, and probably just 5 under green. Oh, Philip Brewer in the 44 gets into Noah Mahalski. The 03's around. He's going to save the car for the most part here.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse than what it was. Still, he's not going to be happy at all. I know that, but definitely could have been race-ending damage. He's going to have some that he's going to have to come down to pit lane and fix, but in a way, I feel like he's sort of dodged a bullet. He still has life, still has a car to battle with, but losing all that track position, he is not going to be happy, I can tell you that.
right here into turn 1. 0344 tags the apron, trying to get to his inside. And again, like you said, Jeff, it could have been a lot worse. Somebody could have just ran into him at 180 miles per hour. But instead, he lightly goes across the nose. Stephen Davis probably not happy that that happened. He has a lot of right front damage because of that. But it could have been worse for all these cars.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for some of those guys getting collected. They were just kind of bystanders. But it looked like Philip Burr thought he had the run. He thought he had the nose inside. And it just looks like two guys that were kind of going for the same, part of the racetrack, both trying to get to the bottom here. And Philip Burr with a little bit fresher tires. Probably thought he was going to be able to shoot it in there, no problem, and probably thought Michalski was going to maybe either give him the lane, but it just looked like both of them kind of had the same idea that they wanted to run the bottom through 1 and 2, and they're going to come together and bring out another caution tonight. And now it opens up the door for a little bit more strategy. I feel like the guys that stayed out last time probably going to come down here and get some tires, but we'll have to wait and see. I think if you're the leader, you obviously want to keep that clean air. But if I'm Chuck Sweeting, I feel like I would have pit there because Philip Brewer is right on your tail. But here comes a lot of other guys. Judson Curtis is in, Caleb Weekly, Stephen Davis, Jordan Trass, and many others coming down pit lane.
Well, at the same time, we were talking about it being a 2-stop race. And if you're coming down a second time to take 4 tires, you're going to run out. So you might want to be a little bit conservative for the end of this race, and I think that's kind of where Chuck Sweeting's mind might be, is let's think about the last 20 laps of this race. If we get into a situation where we need tires and we've used them all up on these next 2 stops, because let's face it, Jeff, these guys are probably still going to have to make a 2-stop race at this point. If it goes green from here, you're in a better situation. You could afford a late caution, come down pit road, get 4 fresh tires, and race your way to a victory.
Yeah, he's certainly in a good spot in terms of that. Having that extra set if needed. These other guys that have already taken a set, you only got 3 sets the rest of the way, and more than likely we are going to have 2 green flag pit stops. And so that would leave you with 1 set for a late race caution. So don't hate the strategy here by Chuck Sweeting, and obviously it's always hardest to come to pit lane when you are the leader, especially with how chaotic it has been back there. So I don't blame him one bit for staying out. Some of those guys, though, that took 2 tires that first go around, guys like Caleb Weekly, I saw they just came in, put on left sides. He took right sides his first stop, and second stop he came in and put his lefts on. So he's still only down 1 total set for the race. So he's still in a fairly good spot. But Philip Brewer is going to be lining up on the front row here. And with that tire advantage, it's probably going to be pretty quick change of hands here for the lead, I would assume. And Chuck Sweeting is probably, his best case scenario is if they were to go probably 10, 15 laps or so, and then they could catch a caution, and then he could take his very first set of tires.
Brewer will be on the outside here. Chuck Sweeting electing to take the bottom line going into turn 1. That fits in with what you talked about, Jeff, wanting to wrap the bottom, be on that blue and white line every single chance you get. And Brewer agreed. In fact, he drove below it. That's how much he wanted it.
Yeah, I think caught him by surprise a little bit that Michalski went in there to turn in as well. And I just think, like I said, 2 guys going for the exact same part of the racetrack. And these are guys that usually battle very cleanly. These guys are tough racers, but, they battle each other cleanly for the most part. So just one of those off sequences, I think, that happened there with 2 really fast drivers going for the same spot.
Sweeting, Brewer, Senior, Green, Skinner, the top 5. Third time, we're going to wave the green flag. Back underway at Charlotte. Good jump here for the 75 going into turn 1. But I think he's on borrowed time here with these 4 fresh tires behind him.
Yeah, it won't be long here for Philip Brewer to be able to grab this lead away. I'm going to guess he's going to have the run here coming out of turn 2 and probably set it for a pass as they head up into turn 3. We'll see how patient he wants to be. There he goes, 44 to take the bottom here. And I don't think Chuck Sweeting is going to be able to put up much of a fight here.
He'll roll the outside. He will get a decent run off of turn 4. Stay at the door for the most part. We're going into turn 1. that send on the bottom. It's going to be so strong. And he's also got to contend here with Hunter Sr., who's moved up. Based off of our game, 17 positions. I don't know how accurate that is, Jeff, but if you could confirm he started back at 19th, I don't know if I believe that or not.
I'm showing he started in the 8th position. At least that's what iRacing's results, timing and scoring is showing. But, you know, talking about Hunter Sr., these are the types of tracks that he really likes and he has raced really well at. We go back just a couple of weeks ago to a similar racetrack in Kansas. He got one of his best finishes of the season. I believe that was a runner-up finish. And, you know, Charlotte, you know, being a little bit different than Kansas, but, you know, similar in terms of length, I guess. Also tire wear. This could be an opportunity for Hunter Sr. to maybe go out there and get his first win of his S&R Challenger Series career, as these are the tracks he tends to race the best at.
He's keeping pace last time by a 31.558 for Brewer, a 31.454 for the one of Senior. About a tenth faster. Chuck Sweeting holding on to third. Impressive. Ben Laughter to the outside. Remember that car was involved in our first caution. He's back up into the top 5.
Yeah, good battle here for Ben Laughter, and so far playing the strategy right. We talk about his runner-up finish at Watkins Glen just last week. Felt like maybe that was the track that he could have got that first career S&R Challenger Series victory at. Didn't happen at Watkins Glen, but boy, some tight racing here up inside the top 5 is maybe that first win could come at Charlotte. Ben Laughter is up on the wheel, and he is moving.
A lot of confidence built there from last week's podium finish at Watkins Glen, like you said, and he just put on a fantastic show. He was one of those cars that I think, and I believe Brewer even agreed, had he been able to clear the traffic sooner, he might have been able to give Brewer a run for his money.
Yeah, certainly. They talk about how difficult it was to pass and how bad the dirty air was. You never know if he would have, you know, had an opportunity to be a little bit closer, put some pressure on Brewer. Maybe he could have had something for him, but I don't know. Philip Brewer is just, you know, such a good all-around driver, you know, on all types of tracks, and then especially road courses. I mean, we saw how well he ran at Sonoma just a season ago, and then obviously again at Watkins Glen. And here comes Ben Laughter around the outside of turns 3 and 4. Going to try to get the spot here on Hunter Sr. And now I'm starting to have some flashbacks, Bradley, from last week. If we can get this 64 slotted into the second place spot, we're going to have a Brewer Laughter 1-2 order again.
We're going to have a Skinner in third there. I think this is all going to be the same as it was at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, a little deja vu, if you will. But I was not expecting you know, Ben Laughter to be up on the wheel this early, getting that many spots here at Charlotte. So props to him. And I know that he enjoys the road courses, he enjoys the short tracks, but man, he has really improved his 1.5 mile speedway package here, as he is slotted into second here, and it might be a matter of time before he's competing for the race lead.
Riding on board with Tim Shinoski in the 41 Bum Energy Ford Mustang. Can't say that I've ever tried Bum Energy, but I've been a bum most of my life, so it probably would work out.
Hey, I mean, it might be two different things, but hey, same deal, right? But yeah, Tim Shinoski, talking about a mover. He started back in 20th is what I'm showing here with the timing and scoring. So I think that's probably your biggest mover of the night so far. Great run here for Tim Shinoski. And I wouldn't say that he's a bum at all running inside the top 5. That's no easy feat here in the S&R Challenger Series. So go ahead and give Tim Shinoski a hand for this run. And Ben Laughter still looking like he's utilizing different lanes. Philip Brewer electing to kind of stay painted towards the bottom, but on back here you see other guys like Richie and Green and Trask. They're using all different lanes of the racetrack here. These guys have, you know, they're trying to find grip wherever they can.
I was watching Richie there down the backstretch. He came out really low out of turn 2 and actually took it 3 wide for a moment there. I think he was trying to clear the 6 of Jared Green. I don't know if Green had a problem there coming off the corner. 55 of Richie, though, able to get around it. 88 of Shoemaker. Some of these cars were involved in that caution on lap 1. With minimal damage, though, in the 88, I think with him, Richie, he also had a piece of that. You had Broderick Vaclavic. Stephen Davis was involved in that. I think they still have good cars. And I believe it was Davis that even got a really bad piece of what happened to Noah Michalski, and the 03 machine is still running in 5th, so it doesn't seem like it's hurting too bad on the damage tonight.
Yeah, I really think he dodged a big-time bullet with that, and we'll have to wait and see if Michalski can get up there back to Brewer. You know, we don't know if he's super frustrated or angry with him, or if he thinks maybe it was just a racing deal and, you know, he's put it past him, or maybe he's going to get up there and maybe try and return the favor. We don't know, but we're going to have to wait and see. I think it's only a matter of time for Noah Michalski to probably get up there and start battling for the lead. He knows his way around this racetrack, winning last season. Really, anytime we come to a mile and a half, I feel like Noah Michalski is always one of the favorites. And so he is slowly but surely climbing his way back up into this conversation.
Well, Jeff, I don't know about you, but the look on that man's face right now says target acquired. You can see the 44. And this time it's going to be a lot less room on the racetrack, I have a feeling. Yeah,
it looks like he's determined right there. And if I'm Ben Lafter or Jared Skinner,
I'm going to move.
And that's probably in the back of my mind, that you might have an angry driver, not at you per se, but, you know, somebody that's charging his way through the field, trying to maybe get back to that 44. I'm going to be a little extra cautious here, and I might say, you know what, you can go right on through, and I'll just watch you guys battle it out, and hopefully, you know, maybe they will battle out and burn off their stuff, and then that could bring in guys like Ben Lafter, Jared Skinner to maybe take the lead if, you know, Michalski, Brewer get tangled up, which could happen.
Michalski not able to clear the 7. Now Skinner will look to the inside in 3 and 4. Ben Lafter running that middle to high line. He's kind of double diamonding that middle groove. It's been enough to hold pace with second place, but starting to lose a little bit here on Philip Brewer. Last time by about 100th slower.
Yeah, and Lafter, as well as Skinner here, they've really been electing to run higher up the racetrack here, and I feel like maybe Michalski feels like he doesn't have a lot of place to go. Looks like he's got position, big moment there for
in the wall.
Yeah, and he was having such a top 5, you know, great top 5 run, so really unfortunate for Tim. Hate to see that. He drove up there into the top 5. That wasn't, you know, by any mistake or any odd strategy. He drove up there, but gonna have to take it to pit lane here for repairs.
Well, you look back here, it was a close call for Jordan Trask and Morgan Cook. You had Caleb Weekly in that mix as well. Watch the 41 machine coming off of turn 2. This is where things go wrong. Into the wall. Weekly followed him up there. Trask looking to avoid it. That's close. That is very close, Jeff.
That is, and I will say, give Tim Janoski a hand, though, for keeping that together. Having an impact with the wall like that, it's so easy to lose control of your car and then, you know, have a big pile up and cause a big wreck. So good heads-up driving by him to not have that happen. And just unfortunate, though, the run he was having right up inside the top 5, and then he's going to peel off here and take it to pit road. But, yeah, just a tough deal to see, especially after such a good run. But here comes Noah Michalski up into the 2nd position.
Passes Ben Lafter on the inside. Philip Brewer about half a second ahead. I know we are not running under the lights, but I think we're going to see fireworks anyway, Jeff.
It's very possible, and I'm wondering what is Philip Brewer thinking right now. I mean, I think that he's just been taking care of his stuff. He's really done a good job of running that consistent line towards the bottom. I think as the tires wear, you're going to see them move up a little bit, maybe trying to find a little bit extra grip. But I think we're going to find out just how hard was Philip Brewer running. Now that Michalski is behind you, do you turn the afterburners on now and try to give him no shot to get to your back bumper? No, Michalski just looks really quick right now. So he is closing the gap here. And I think we could have something very interesting happen here very shortly.
Well, that advantage of coming down pit road and
Jared Skinner, big
car
moment for him.
Wall 7 car, he saves it, but right front damage.
Yeah, kind of same thing with Tim Janoski. Kind of smacked the wall on the back straightaway, shot him down to the apron. He's going to be able to continue, but that was a pretty big hit. There could be some damage on that 7.
I can have one more time. We'll take it on board in the gyro camera. See how narrow the groove is here at Charlotte. These turns not symmetrical at all. Very deceitful coming off the exit of turn 2. How many times have we done that, Jeff?
Quite a few. It's happened a couple times. And Bradley, I'm looking at this battle for the lead right now, and Mahalski just about hit the back bumper of Brewer on corner entry, and it looked like he was trying to maybe make some contact. So we probably should keep the camera right here. I don't know what's going to happen, but these are two drivers that both know that they can win, and were both involved in a wreck just 20 laps ago or so, and here they are again battling for the race lead. So this thing could get interesting. We'll see how patient Noah Mahalski wants to be with this 44.
I think patience went out the window on lap 8.
It very well might have. And while all this has been going on, Jordan Trask has driven up into the 4th spot. Caleb Weegley has found himself inside the top 5. So nice bounce back for both those drivers. And Caleb, one of those guys that took right sides on both of his pit stops. And so he's passed a lot of cars tonight. He has gone to the back of the field twice, and he is now inside the top 5. And he's got a good view of this battle for the race lead. So as we ride on board here with the number 13 of Caleb Weegley, I'm sure he's probably prepared for something to happen. I believe he's also in the same Discord as Noah Mahalski. So if anybody would have any indication of Noah Mahalski being a little bit upset or a little fiery right now, it's probably Caleb Weegley. He would be the one to know.
Let's put them side by side, see if they're communicating anything at all. No. It looks like Caleb's running his race, and Noah's running his.
That's two drivers that look very locked in, if you will, Bradley Cooper. This is a track that demands that, too. You got to pretty much be focused every inch around this racetrack. There really is no place to relax. I mean, we've seen how many incidents already happened on the back straightaway, not even in the center of a corner. So that just shows you can't take any breaks here at this racetrack, especially with how hot it is out there.
Approaching the halfway mark, 41 laps in. And we set our fuel strategy back about 17 laps, I'd say, for most of these cars. But Noah Mahalski, 25 laps on the stint. Philip Brewer, 32 laps on the stint. I've been impressed. We had a short little run there, but Brewer does have older tires, and he's still able to hold Mahalski up.
Yeah, doing a really good job, and he's got the clean air right now, so that is super valuable. He's going to want to do everything he can to keep that, as it looks like he maybe scraped the wall a little bit there, too. I mean, we've seen that so much tonight, guys getting into the wall on exit of corner number 2 there in the back straightaway. Kind of odd to see, but here comes Jordan Trask now. He's making a move now on Ben Laughter, and I've been impressed with Ben's run, too. I mean, he was up there in second, and he really hasn't fallen off all that much over the course of this run. It looked like maybe he was pushing his stuff a little bit, running the middle to the higher line, but he's still up inside the top 5 and doing a really good job.
And you talked about it last week, Jeff, and kind of compared him to like an SVG, kind of not so great at the ovals. He can finish top 10, but he definitely loves the road courses. And for the 64 to be in this situation here at Charlotte, it kind of proves us wrong.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say, Ben is not a guy that's not good at the ovals. I just think he's so exceptional at the road courses that it maybe, takes away from his oval program. And in this race, I mean, guys like Philip Brewer, Noah Mahalski, the guys that are in front of you, these are really talented guys. And so to be running with them, that's impressive in itself. These guys in this league and in this session, these guys are, they're solid, so it doesn't take anything away from Ben's oval program. But I would say that this is probably the best we've seen him run on the ovals recently. And maybe that's some confidence after that race at Watkins Glen where he posted that second place finish. We kind of talked to him about road courses, short tracks being good for him. And maybe that sparked a little bit of a fire in him, wanting to get better at these ovals. And if it did, he is certainly going out there tonight and proving that he has improved.
Watching 18th position battle with Christian Key and Judson Curtis. Curtis, one of those cars that got damage. He's still got left rear damage on this machine. Unfortunate there for the 29. Remember when that happened, he was on the outside. He's actually still struggling handling that car. It just seems like it's gone, Jeff.
Yeah, and rear damage, to the center or any of the corners of the race car. It's a death sentence in this vehicle. I mean, you just lose all the rear downforce. It's something that is kind of odd and a little unique to the Xfinity car in iRacing, but I mean, any sort of damage back there, it just makes it an absolute nightmare to drive. And unless you can get that fully fixed, which I'm guessing he probably hasn't been able to, or the damage is just too severe, it's just going to make for a very long night. And I think that is what the 29 of Judson Curtis is struggling with mostly right now.
Coming up on the halfway mark, 38 laps on the stint. Philip Brewer within the pit window here. When does he bring it into the pits? Is he in conservation mode to stretch this run as far as he can? Starting to pull away a little bit from Noah Michalski, so I don't think he's conserving anything.
Yeah, and, you know, we've had a couple of cautions, and, you know, you always add in the caution laps. So is it possible that these guys could make it on a one-stop? I mean, I think if they were saving fuel aggressively under the cautions, or some of the guys that did top off, you might have a chance to push this as far as you can go, because I think you can probably go about 40 laps. I think is probably about where they can go, and if you can stretch it to lap 60, make your pit stop, you could be good to the end. It's just really hard to say, especially with the fall off. Lap times do get slower, so the fuel burn isn't as much as the run goes. But we'll have to wait and see. Philip Brewer I'm still being impressed that he's able to hold off Michalski despite those older tires he has. So Philip Brewer continues to lead here at Charlotte, and Noah Michalski has really just kind of settled in to about half a second behind him. So not running away from him per se, and also makes me wonder if Noah Michalski is the guy that can save fuel. You can do that if you're in second place, but it is certainly hard to do that as the leader. Looking around at the racetrack for some of the other biggest movers of tonight, and Justin Ritchie has cracked his way back inside the top 5, and that's a driver just a season ago that posted a top 5 finish at this very racetrack. So no surprise to see Justin Ritchie back up there. Ben Lafter, we talked about earlier, he was running second. He has now fallen back to the 5th position, and he had a ways to go to get up here. Ben Lafter started back in the 17th spot. And then Caleb Weekly just behind. He is in 6th currently. Caleb Weekly had a top 10 finish here a season ago, and one of those drivers that always carries one of our driver cams with him. So we always appreciate that with Caleb Weekly, and so far hanging on, trying to give that 13 car a solid finish here, as he is one of those drivers on the cut line. But here comes Hunter Sr. to the inside. Good spot on Caleb Weekly, as they're going to go side by side here as they come out of turn 2. Caleb Weekly with the run. See if Hunter Sr. can drag him back here with the side drive. Can't quite do it, and he will slot back in line for the time being. Philip Brewer still continuing to lead, and he is starting to stretch out that lead just a little bit more here over Noah Michalski. That half a second gap has now extended to about 0.8 of a second. So Philip Brewer is starting to kind of flex his muscles on the long run here. Jordan Trask, one of those cars that elected to come in and pit under the last caution. He has climbed his way up to the 3rd spot, but has kind of stalled in that 79 for the time being, and have to wonder if these guys are starting to get ready for those pit stops. I still think lap 60 is probably going to be that magic number. If they can make it to lap 60, you can probably make it to the end.
Well, Jeff, I know we're at the halfway mark, so let's take this opportunity before pit stops and let's turn up the volume. Let's get loud, presented by FireStorm Racing. That was Get Loud presented by FireStorm Racing, and now it's time for a green flag pit stops. Philip Brewer starting it off here on lap 59.
Yeah, and this is kind of right around where I expected it, somewhere around that lap 60 mark. So no surprise at all. Philip Brewer is in, going to look for no mistakes here on this pit stop, and it looks like he brought a lot of other cars with him.
The 1 of Senior, the 13 of Weekly, Mahalski, Shoemaker, Dabney, all down pit lane, 44 down and away. Weekly down and away as well. The 03 of Mahalski finishing up his service. Kind of surprised that Mahalski didn't try to stay out, but Jordan Trask did. And for an additional 2 or 3 laps, he's going to be out here on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think Mahalski kind of saw that he was starting to struggle a little bit there on the long run. He was starting to lose ground to Philip Brewer, so he figured why not just bring it down the exact same time as Philip Brewer. Jordan Trask, on the other hand, he's going to try the long run stint here. He's probably going to go a handful of extra laps, try to get those fresher tires for the very end, and maybe he'll have enough long run speed to maybe go compete for the win.
Morgan Cook, Jared Skinner down and away. They'll exit the pit lane. Justin Ritchie still out on the racetrack. 64, Ben Lather, kind of short pitted on this strategy. He's about a lap or 2 shorter than, actually 4 laps shorter. So he probably will net race on the lead here. 64 car made up a lot of ground in a short amount of time.
He certainly did, and that's a good strategy call, I think. We saw that Ben was starting to drop a little bit there over the course of the long run. So he figured, let's get aggressive here with the short pit. So he beat the leaders to pit lane. 4 laps is what you're saying. And look at the distance on the racetrack that 4 laps is. Those guys behind him, they will probably be faster, with the fresher tires. But Ben Lather certainly netted himself quite a bit of track position over these guys.
Justin Ritchie hitting pit road now. Jordan Trask came down as well in the 79. He finished up his service. Back out onto the racetrack now. It's Tad Dabney, Brett Zolk, Brandon Wallace in pit road. He was in our broadcast chat there for a moment, and I think he's just enjoying the sights and sounds at Charlotte at this point.
Stefan Davis still staying out to lead a couple laps here, and that's a bonus point. You talk about a driver that's on and near the cut line who needs some bonus points, so have to think that's probably in the back of his head to go out there, get a lap led, and net himself another point. And see how long he chooses to stay out. Looks like he is bringing it to pit lane this time by. And looks like it's going to be a smooth, clean entry for Stefan Davis. And here comes the 29 Judson Curtis.
I think Davis is going to get this lap led as long as Ben Lather doesn't pass him. It's going to be close.
I think Lather got it. Yeah, he did. Oh, so close for Stefan Davis to get that bonus point. But Ben Lather going to get the lap led there, so he will get the bonus point and having a top 5 day, and he finds himself in the race lead. Looks like Chuck Sweeting was also another driver that went on the short pit. So they have the track position for now, but here comes Philip Brewer in the 44 trying to reclaim the lead. And then you have Noah Mahalski, who is a little bit further back. Looks like maybe his pit stop wasn't as good as Philip Brewer's, and I think he lost a little ground on the exchange, actually.
Yeah, he was about 3.5 seconds slower, almost 4 seconds slower down the pit lane. So an issue there for the 03. Maybe a conservative entry to pit road. Sometimes you try to prevent that speeding penalty, Jeff. You back up the entry too much, and when you're talking about 3-4 seconds on pit road, that translates to about 4 or 5 seconds on the racetrack sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually looking back at the replay, and looks like Noah overshot his box and then spent a couple of seconds just trying to get the car positioned correctly so that the crew could begin service. And that happens a lot on iRacing. Sometimes if you don't get in that box just perfectly, it can be a nightmare to try to figure it out. And that's going to be where he lost all of that ground. Still running 4th despite all of that. So that just kind of shows the lead that they had on a lot of these guys. But more than likely now, he is going to need a caution in order to get back into the conversation in competing for the race win.
Brewer got around Chuck Sweeting. Looks like the 44 car is going to be attacking Ben Laughter within the next couple laps, maybe even right here into 3.
Yeah, and if you're Ben Laughter right now, you're just hoping and praying for a caution before Philip Brewer gets around you. He's going to put up the best fight he can, but 4 or 5 lap fresher tires for the 44, it's not going to be a whole lot to battle with here. He should smooth sail on by here, and he does. As Philip Brewer to the bottom of the racetrack puts him back to the race lead, and our pit cycle has pretty much cycled through now. Ben Laughter, Chuck Sweeting probably still going to drop a little bit through the field just because of that short pit. And then the other guy I'm keeping my eye on is Jordan Trask. He's the one guy that did go quite a bit longer. He is quite a ways behind the leader here. I want to say about 6 seconds or so. So that's a long ways to go and try to reclaim back. See if he can do it, though.
It's Bryce Shoemaker in the 54 on the inside of Jordan Trask, running for the 6th position. Trask will go by on the outside. Again, tire advantage. He stayed out a little bit longer, but then that also translates to lost time. It was about 2 seconds of fall off, Jeff, that these drivers had.
Yeah, that's pretty significant, and only 30 laps remaining roughly to actually try to go out there and see if you can run him down. So I feel like that's a bit much to ask for, but we'll see where this thing cycles all through. I feel like this has so far been a net gain for Chuck Sweeting and Ben Laughter with the short pit, especially with guys like Noah Mahalski having the mistake on pit lane. So those guys might be able to pick up an extra spot through the entire pit cycle here. But as far as Jordan Trask, 5.5 seconds behind the leader, 30 laps to go. That is a tall order.
Riding on board with Chris Rude, trying to get his lap back here. He'll get to the inside, trying to get around Chuck Sweeting. Can't do it there out of 2. Got a little bit loose there in the middle of the corner. Rude still holding on to it. We'll try again here through 3 and 4. He's going to get loose again. He's still battling this car.
Yeah, this certainly looks like a handful to try and battle. And you even see some of the shade on the racetrack. And despite all that, this track is still scorching hot and really been a challenge for these drivers all night long. As you see a lot of counter steer in that car. That doesn't look like a very well handling race car, I have to say, despite all things. It looks like he is really having to wrestle that thing.
He is able to clear. Chuck Sweeting probably getting a little bit nervous there with the 32's line through 3 and 4 that last time by. Going to allow him to go around. Here comes Noah Mahalski, though. He is caught up to the top 3. He's going to look to the inside of Ben Laughter. He'll clear through the quad oval. It sets his sights on Chuck Sweeting. It's still about 2.5 seconds to catch up to Philip Brewer. That mistake on pit road, I think Mahalski's got a lot of short run speed. He could probably get back to him. You don't want to make a second mistake, though. When we look at this stint, it's going to be close on fuel.
Yeah, these guys are pretty much going to be, right on the number in terms of how far you can go on a tank of fuel by the time we get to the checkered flag here. And you have to wonder, you never know. Late race cautions can happen. It can really shake these things up. But that pit lane mistake by Mahalski overshooting his box just a little bit, that really cost him. And, he's only 2.5 seconds back. And I think we want to say the mistake cost him like 3-4 seconds. So, he would be right there battling for the lead with Philip Brewer had he had, not had that mistake. Those guys did hit in right next to each other. So tough break for Mahalski, and I'm sure he's just hoping for another shot at it. I think, if we were to get a caution, that would, bring some life back into him and maybe, get him on the offensive again. Anytime a late race caution happens, 2 tires can sometimes happen or be a call. We'll just have to wait and see how this one plays out as we are approaching the 25 laps to go mark.
Brewer off of turn 4. He will take that 25 to go. Chuck Sweeting, your top 3 with Noah Mahalski, and a challenge for second position. Mahalski very fast that last time by, but still not faster than Philip Brewer in that clean air. Hunter Sr. going to battle for the 4th position with Ben Laughter. This one car has been solid all day, and Jeff, I'm trying to remember, I think you said he started in 8th position, so top 10 start for the one car. Top 5 run right now. Looks like 4th position up for grabs going into turn 1. He'll take it.
Yeah, trying to grab another top 5 finish on, 1.5 mile ovals. He was pretty happy with himself after that performance at Kansas Speedway just a few weeks ago with that runner-up finish, and that's why, no surprise that he's back up here in the top 5 again on a similar type racetrack. I think the biggest surprise, of the night has been Ben Laughter, though. He has really caught us off guard a little bit with his speed tonight, battling up in the top 2 at times. Got a little aggressive here with the short pit, kind of a, swinging for the fences, but really it's worked for him. He's let a lap out of the deal, so throw a bonus point on top of that. And being a driver that's right around that cut line, you want to get all the points that you can get. And so far, Ben Laughter scoring quite a bit of points on the competition, or at least the guys that he's battling are in and around that cut line. Of those guys, he is the highest running driver.
So 44 laps on fuel, 44 to 48, depending on how much you want to stretch it. That puts these drivers right around that line. I don't know, Jeff. I think we're going to see it run out to the end for most of these cars, just based off of the numbers. But you have guys that were aggressive on the short pit, like Ben Laughter, like Chuck Sweeting. They might be in a little bit of a gray area here for the numbers.
Yeah, those would be the 2 guys of concern on if fuel is going to be, any sort of question on if you can make it or not. So Chuck Sweeting, Ben Laughter were the short pitters. Guys that should be good on fuel is Philip Burr, Noah Mahalski. I think those guys definitely played it safe. And then the guys that got extra fuel that can definitely go even further would be guys like Jordan Trask. And Trask has trimmed the lead down a little bit. Now it's around 4.5 seconds. But with only 20 to go, it's still a lot of ground to make up in a short amount of time. As we got a side-by-side battle here, it's Justin Ritchie, Jared Skinner duking it out, seeing who can claim the spot.
Skinner holding that outside out of turn 4. He'll stay at the door of the 55 coming off of turn 2. Is it going to be enough, though? Skinner probably going to end up losing this position into 3, but he pinches down on the 55. He's going to hold him one more time. There's the clear.
Yeah, just not quite enough. Justin Ritchie going to get on by, and looking a little bit further back, you see Morgan Cook in the number 51. He might be trying to grab another spot or two. Might see some weakness now out of the 7 car, and maybe he can go up and grab another spot. And then just the tail end here of the top 10, it's Bryce Shoemaker in that number 54. And then behind him, it's Caleb Weekly, and then Matt Shanofsky, who is up 10 positions on the night. So really good run for Matt. Started in 22nd spot, and he currently runs in 12th.
Sizing it up here with Noah Mahalski. Hunter Sr. got around Chuck Sweeting. Mahalski 3 seconds back from the 44 car in another time zone. 24 laps on the stint. About 18 laps to go here. Now 17 crossing the line. Man, that math is close, Jeff.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty smooth sailing for Philip Brewer. I feel like he feels like he's in a pretty good spot and is not really pressured by really anybody at this moment. Noah Mahalski, before the whole pit stop there, he was going to be, looked like the biggest threat. But we talk about pit road, pit lane mistakes, can take you out of it. And, Noah Mahalski's won some races because he's mastered that. Tonight, looks like that might come back to bite him. I think we were really going to have a good battle between the 44 of Philip Brewer and the 03 of Noah Mahalski, but sometimes pit lane issues take you out of the equation. And I think we can kind of say the same thing for Jordan Trask. He was a guy that was going to be in the mix at Kansas, actually battling Noah Mahalski. and ended up, having a pit road speeding penalty, and that took him out of contention. So it's so many times these races come down to pit road execution, and whoever can master that the best is typically somebody that's going to have a really good shot at winning the race.
Then Laughter is going to fall back to 7th. Justin Ritchie just got by in the 55. Laughter not looking happy with the handling of this car. I've been watching his driver camera. He's continuously shaking his head no. Just starting to lose touch with maybe this race.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the short pit starting to show. He short pit about 4 to 5 laps, and that's going to net you some track position early on. But man, it really makes for a very long run to the end, and you can see that he's probably not having a ton of fun driving this race car right now. When you're at a tire disadvantage of 4 to 5 laps, that is a lot. So right now, Ben is just trying to hang on, try to finish this race out, and he probably wouldn't mind a caution. Be able to come down pit road and put a set of tires on it, see what he could do with it. But yeah, just kind of a helpless feeling to be in a situation like this when you are at such a tire deficit and you still have 10 plus more laps to go. That is not a fun spot to be in.
Now it's Jared Skinner going by for the 7th position. The 7 car still door to door. Morgan Cook would be next in line for the 8th position. Can the 51 catch up? Laughter going the wrong direction here. As of late, we have 12 laps left. It's Tad Dabney on the inside, a lap down, trying to get one of his 4 laps back in the number 9. Has a tire advantage over the 44 machine, but not going to contest it right on board with the 9.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. So unfortunately, his only hope would to catch a caution and maybe be that lucky dog, get his lap back. But yeah, Philip Brewer is he is on it tonight. Once again, we've said that so much this season, and caution is out on the speedway. Throw everything we said out the window. We're going to have another restart.
It's Chris Root on the backstretch going into turn 3, the 32 car, the walking and rolling costumes. Ford Mustang destroyed.
And if you're Philip Brewer, that is just an absolute gut punch. I mean, you pretty much have the race wrapped up. He just had to log 10 more clean laps. And the caution flies. We're going to have to see all these cars hit pit road here. It's a matter of, are these guys going to take 4 tires? Are they going to take 2? Will anybody risk staying out? I would say with the amount of tire wear we have tonight, probably not. And that was a close call.
Let's go on board with Chuck Sweeting. Chris Root is going to hit this access road at the bottom of the inside wall and bounce straight back up the racetrack.
Oh, man. Wow, good heads-up driving there. Good reaction time by Chuck Sweeting to be able to miss that. That is nothing that you ever want to see in the closing laps of a race, is a car ricocheting off the inside wall back up to the racetrack, and a couple of those guys kind of had a close call. Unfortunate for Chris Root, that's going to be the end of his night. But looked like everybody else was able to get through unscathed. But we have a very important pit stop now. Got to hit your marks here. This is where that race could be won, and also where it could be lost.
Philip Brewer going to lead him down pit road. Noah Michalski cannot afford any mistakes here. But everybody going to take 4 tires. This goes back to Chuck Sweeting and what he was doing to save tires. He's going to be in a great situation. Michalski battles side by side. And it looks like Sweeting ends up losing another spot on pit road. Did it put him out ahead of Jordan Trass? It did, but he lost 2 spots here from his pit stall.
Yeah, the big winner out of that sequence is going to be Noah Michalski. So he's going to be able to have an opportunity to line up side by side with Philip Brewer. And we talked about the little incident. I wish we had the ability to show little flashbacks from earlier in the race.
We do.
I'm not going to ask you to go back that far, Bradley. I know that's kind of a tall order to ask for, but something happened between these two guys a little bit earlier in the race and resulted in Noah Michalski getting spun, and it looks like he may be showing a little displeasure under the caution flag too. So if that's any indication that this thing is about to get a little amped up, a little heated, I think we are in for a very entertaining finish, to say the least.
Let's see if we can go back to that. Just give me a moment here to find this. The lap number, that's the main thing that we got to look for. And
yeah, well, somewhere around like between lap 10 and 20, I want to say. I could be wrong. Maybe some of our viewers in the chat could help us out with that, but they got tangled up. They were both going for the bottom of the racetrack, and I feel like maybe Noah Mahalski feels like he got moved out of the way. Philip Brewer maybe feels like he got pinched. But the two guys came together, and it resulted in Noah Mahalski losing all of his track position. So he's had to battle back pretty much the entire 100 laps here to get back into this very spot. And now we're going to get to see these guys restart on the front row. Bradley, we really hadn't made our picks yet tonight officially. Do we want to go out on a limb and maybe say it's going to be decided between one of these two, or are these guys going to take each other out and we're going to have a surprise winner?
I don't know. I'm going to put my pick out there and say that Hunter Sr. benefits from this. I think the one car ends up with the win. These two might just take each other out.
All right, we're going to see the pace car about ready to make that hard left-hand turn. This is about to get fun.
What could be the final restart of the day with 8 laps to go from Charlotte. Philip Brewer, Noah Mahalski, two of the fastest cars in the field. Green flag back underway for week 9, and not a great restart. Hunter Sr. gets the jump up to second.
Really good restart there for Hunter Sr. Now that's going to bury Mahalski into the 3rd position. Exactly what Philip Brewer wanted. He didn't want to see that 03 in his rear view mirror, but here comes Mahalski now to the inside of Hunter Sr. down the back straightaway.
He's going to have the nose advantage into 3, but Sr. going to be on the outside. He's going to try to late apex turn 4. He gets a good run. Meanwhile, behind him, it's Trask and Sweeting for 4th.
And if you're Philip Brewer here, you are pretty much running qualifying type laps here. You don't want to save anything in the tank. You want to get as far away as possible from the rest of the
sideways,
guys.
that's the 7. Jared Skinner to the inside wall. We're going to stay green.
Green for now, and caution.
Morgan Cook involved.
I thought we were going to get away with no caution there for a moment, but caution flies again, and we're going to have another restart. And that's going to put Mahalski right behind the race leader, Philip Brewer, assuming he takes the bottom. But, ooh, big hit there, and kind of 2 separate incidents.
Back us up one more time. It was the check up there with the 7 off the wall. Riding on board with Ben Lapter. Morgan Cook nowhere to go. The inside wall.
Yeah, tough break for Ben. He's going to get a little bit of damage. Morgan Cook, he got spun out, hit the inside wall tough. So 51 gets, big hit. His night over. I think Ben Laughter gets a little bit of damage to the front end, but nothing near as significant as what Skinner and Morgan Cook both have there. Their nights are done. So tough break for those guys. We knew the intensity was going to pick up here, especially on a late race restart inside 10 laps to go. All these guys are trying to get all they can get.
Yeah, I think the 7 thought he was clear here. Watch it from our blimp camera. Yeah, he got into the back of the 55 there.
Unfortunate deal, but that's going to allow for another late race restart here. And I feel like Philip Brewer, he was relieved to be able to have Hunter Sr. get in between him and Mahalski. But, I mean, now you have another caution to think about and another restart to execute. I would not be surprised at all here if you see the 44 Brewer maybe take the top lane here. That way Mahalski is not directly behind him, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think I want to pull or talk to any one of these guys right now. I don't think that they're probably in the mood to talk. I think they're focused on trying to figure out how they're going to win this race. So we'll have to wait and see after we come back from this.
Yep, we're going to take a quick break while we get a word from our sponsors here on V-Speed. You're watching the SNR Challenger Series. Back with more for Week 9 right after this.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our options.
We're back here live at Charlotte, getting ready for a restart. A surprising call by Philip Brewer as we hit the restart zone. He's going to start on the inside with 3 laps to go. No tire spin on that outside, but Philip Brewer setting sail. What could be the victory? Hunter Sr. with a restart violation. He's going to fall back.
Yeah, it looks like he maybe was just ahead of the leader at the time of the green flag. So very unfortunate for Hunter Sr. as he's going to have to serve that one. But now the battle is on for the race win. Philip Brewer versus Noah Mahalski here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Who's going to get the edge?
2 laps left. Does Noah Mahalski have anything for him? It's qualifying laps for these last 2.
It is, and if you're Philip Brewer, you are looking out that mirror a ton right now. Got to make sure that Mahalski cannot get to your back bumper. He's going to send it in hard there in the corner. He is right on top of him.
White flag in the air one more time around Charlotte Motor Speedway to the inside in turn 1. Mahalski, Brewer, side by side. Big crash in the back of the field. Some cars sideways, the 03. He gets tagged. Jordan Trask to the inside. He's going to take over the race lead. Philip Brewer and Noah Mahalski take each other out, and it's Jordan Trask going to get his 3rd win of the season in electric fashion for the 79.
Well, Bradley, I can't say I'm surprised that the 2 leaders got tangled up, but wow, Jordan Trask will pick up the pieces, and he will gladly take the win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for his 3rd win of the season. But man, Philip Brewer, Mahalski, we could have seen that coming from a mile away, and it ends up biting them both. They gift the win to Jordan Trask, Bradley. I can't believe it.
And Caleb Wakely is in disbelief as well. He ends up with a 2nd place finish through all that.
Incredible. We knew that this was going to get wild, especially, as soon as that caution came out with Chris Rude, and we had 10 laps to go, you knew something was going to happen. And sure enough, the 2 leaders side by side get tangled up, get together, And Jordan Trask was in position to take advantage of it all, dodge the wreck, and he gets the win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Caleb Weekly, you mentioned, a second place finish for him. That is huge, being on the cut line. And then Chuck Sweeting is going to get a top 3 finish out of that. Well-needed points day for a lot of these guys.
This is going back to just before the white flag. The 03 Mahalski's going to get right up on the bumper coming out of turn 4. He'll have the opportunity in turns 1 and 2. And he will get to the inside right here.
Yeah, and Philip gives him the lane too. You know, Philip's not pinching him or anything. He's giving him a full lane to battle with, but it just gets a little tight there. And
a little net code there.
For a second, I thought Brewer was going to get on through, but just gets clipped in the last second.
And this is where the 13, he was back in around the 10th position.
Yeah, can we ride on board with Caleb Weekly after all of this?
A 7th or 8th spot here. Let's navigate through here. Watch everything fall apart.
And I don't blame him one bit either. Keep your foot planted. It's the white flag. Go get all the points you can. And Caleb certainly needed it. A bit of a drag race with Chuck Sweeting on the front stretch. And Caleb Weekly, that's a second place finish out of that. The only guy happier than Caleb is probably Jordan, but man, that's just a lot to unpack.
Watch the contact off of 4. There's a touch. And Broderick Vaclavic end up with a top 5. Ends up making contact with Sweeting and getting into the back of Weekly. So Weekly not going to get any benefit there after a second place. But man, there was something else that happened here, Jeff, and I'm going to have to back this up a little bit more. Something else happened deeper in this field. Watch the 3 wide there with a 13. I think right there is with the 55. That was the engine that we heard pop with the 31 and the 60 and big crash there. That was coming to the white flag.
A couple rollovers there. Matt Shanowski was involved. Richard.
Ow.
23 is just tumbling into turn 1, lands on all 4s, but talk about a wild ride.
Let's do it on the gyro camera, shall we?
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. That car just kept tumbling.
Let's see the height of the 23. You're going to see him just over the turn 1 wall, and there he goes.
Matt Shanowski goes over, and then, yeah, the 23 here has one of the craziest crashes I've seen ever.
It's been in a while that I've seen cars flip like that on the iRacing service.
I don't think Dylan's window net was coming down after that one, but it was Jordan Trask picking up the pieces, gets the win, and he'll take it.
He will, and we have more to unpack here. Don't go anywhere. Post-race interviews with your top 3 and a surprise win. 3rd of the season for Jordan Trask. Top 3 for Caleb Weekly and Chuck Sweeting. We'll get a word with those drivers and your final race results in just a moment. You're watching the SNR Challenger Series live on V-Speed.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your printers.
To keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of marketing and advertising, let Clark Print Shop help you spot the trends and keep you in front of the pack with all your color printing needs. From business cards to invitations, menus to mugs, we can print anything you need on paper or your choice of over 3,000 promotional items. Visit www.clarkprintshop.com to browse our online catalog and place your order today, or call us at 276-889-3426. For a limited time, use the code iRacing for 23% off your first purchase. The staff at Clark Print Shop looks forward to handling all your color printing needs.
Walking and Rolling Costumes started when my son Reese was born with cancer.
So when I was 3 years old, I got my first wheelchair.
And he wanted to be Wall-E for Halloween that year. And so I knew you couldn't buy a costume to go on a wheelchair at that time. So I knew I had to build one.
My dad ended up building a Wall-E costume out of a Dell computer box.
When we were all finished, he loved it. We took pictures of it and shared it on social media. So many people started sharing it that we started getting requests from people we didn't know.
In 2015, we decided to build them for other kids because people were asking, hey, can you build them for my kid?
So we started the nonprofit organization, Walking and Rolling Costumes, and we build costumes for kids all over the nation, free of charge to the families.
Back here live for our post-race coverage of the Saturday Night Racing League Challenger Series, week number 9. We've got a lot of people that are shocked and awed up here in the booth, though. We kind of predicted it. The 03 and the 44 had some mixed words for each other in the post-race, and definitely stems from the beginning where the 03 and the 44 went toe-to-toe. Sideways 2 times here tonight between those 2 cars, and ultimately Jordan Trask ends up with the victory. Final results up on the screen, and you can look at that race recap. 7 lead changes, 4 cautions, and 3 of those coming, 2 of those actually coming within the last 20 laps or so. 32 of Chris Rude had some problems on the backstretch, and that triggered what we saw there on that final restart. A lot to unpack, but Jeff, with Trask, Weekly, and Sweeting, surprise there for both of them, I think, just coming off a turn 4 and suddenly everything changed.
Yeah, and they'll take it. We thought that the leaders might get together and they would open up the opportunity for somebody to get a surprise win, but also some surprise, really good finishes for guys that needed it and needed some points tonight. So Caleb Weekly will take that second place finish, and Chuck Sweeting, he had that little mistake on pit road earlier that kind of took him out of the contention late. So I'm sure he's thrilled to be able to get a podium finish after all of that.
Roderick Glavick will finish in 4th with Justin Ritchie on the top 5. Bryce Shoemaker coming back here for 6th. Noah Mahalski, sure there's going to be words exchanged and a lot to talk about with a 7th place finish. Then you have Jared Green in 8th, Jared Skinner in 9th, Stephen Davis rounding out your top 10.
In the 11th spot, it was the dominant driver of the day, Philip Brewer, getting tangled up with Noah Mahalski on the final lap. He settles for 11th. Jedson Curtis will finish in the 12th spot. Ben Laughter, we saw him battling up inside the top 3 a lot of the night. Got involved within the chaos late, settles for 13th. Matt Shanoski, 14th tonight. Keith Shoemaker started 7th, and he finishes 15th tonight. Christian Key gained a handful of spots, up from 25th. He finishes 16th tonight. Hunter Sr. had that restart violation late, took him out of contention, settles for 17th. Tad Dabney battled all night, gets himself an 18th place finish. Morgan Cook involved in a late crash, 19th. And Benjamin Richards, also involved in a wreck late, 7 laps down, finishes 20th.
Brett Zolk will finish 21st. Chris Rude bringing out that late caution there, got loose on the backstretch. He'll finish 22nd. Tim Shednosky, he was in the top 5 at one point in this race. He's going to finish 23rd. Michael Muncy in the 92 laps down. Early exit for him. he wasn't even able to really string together a pit stop here with Brandon Wallace and Matt Dominic. 103 laps down, so a lot of cars, they got sent out of this race early here this evening. But now it's time to take you to Victory Lane, where we have the driver of the number 79. We've caught up with the third-time winner of the season, Jordan Trass.
How's it
See
going?
if we can bring him up here. And yeah, Jordan, I tell you what, this race was top 5 for you for most of the night. You were trying to work some strategies, put yourself in a better situation. I mean, just did you predict what we were predicting up in the booth, that the 44 and the 03 getting back side by side was going to result in what you had here tonight?
It had come out of my mouth talking to my teammates, like right on the yellow there before that green-white checker, and my goal was to get into third place, and it just managed to work. I started ripping the fence, got a lot of momentum off the corners, and just was in the right place at the right time, barely missed them wrecking, and just took advantage of it. It was a lot of fun, and didn't expect it, but I'm glad it happened. I knew it was a possibility.
We knew it was a possibility as well. We were talking about it there with the early race, and it kind of mixed up the strategy, put you guys into what would be a one stop for green flag pit stops versus, you know, this race starting out mileage wise was going to be a 2-stopper. For you, though, it seemed like the short pit, the overcut, it didn't really matter. It just, you were going to hover around that top 5 position the whole night regardless. And then we have late race restarts that always really shuffle this field up and put everybody on edge.
Yeah, it was interesting. Actually, coming into the race, the fuel window was about 47 laps. And so we were thinking if it went green the whole way, with how much off throttle time there is here, you could probably save that much. But it was a question of if a 2-stop would just be faster because there was so much tire fall off. But once we had those early cautions, the race was set. It's going to be a 1-stop no matter what. And I was just trying to do the best I could and keep it clean. I've been able to get a few wins this season, but I've also had a lot of bad finishes. So just trying to get some good points finishes and get set up well for the playoffs.
Well, this should make you feel a little bit better about that cut line. You come into tonight sitting in 11th. Now with a victory, it's going to open up that gap even more. It was around 22 points. And with Ben Laughter and Stephen Davis having a decent night here tonight in the 60 car, but Ben Laughter ended up 14th. That should open up a little bit. You should get ahead of Keith Shoemaker, maybe even Judson Curtis, who had damage very early in this race. Congratulations on your 3rd win of the season. Anybody you want to shout out while we have you up here?
Yeah, huge thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Can't wait to watch this one back. And it's always fun to run these races here at SNR. Thanks to Jeff and everyone else on the admin team for putting them up. And thanks to everyone who's watching and everyone at my team who helped me with strategy there and get through this race and just managed to steal a win.
I believe you started in the 5th position, if I'm correct on that. Telemetry a little bit broken tonight, but you led 4 laps, and most importantly, you led the last one. Jordan Trass, we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. See you next week.
There's your race winner, and we move on to 2nd place finisher Caleb Weekly, who's excited to be here. Jeff Wright has caught up with him.
I am down on pit lane here with Caleb Weekly, and we see he's got his camera back on, Bradley. So those messages did get to him. So Caleb, first off, I mean, take us through that final lap of holding it wide open, trying to dodge the chaos, getting yourself to a solid 2nd place finish in a race where you really needed a good points day considering where you're at in the standings.
Yeah, right before I took the white off of turn 4, I got into my little own chaos and kind of got sandwiched in between Bryce and Justin and made contact with both of them. And then right after that, avoiding what seemed like 3 different crashes on the back straight. It was a wild last lap. But, you know, as what did that ARCA driver say last year? Like, I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag or something like that. That was in my mind as I was doing that. Like, I'm not lifting for anything. If I have a chance to get 2nd place, I'm going to get 2nd place. And that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely. I mean, a thrilling finish, and it was fun for us to go back and actually watch that replay of your onboard. And yeah, I don't think you cracked out of the throttle once, Caleb, and I don't blame you one bit because you were on a mission to go get those points. And second place, not bad at all. You started a little bit deeper in the field tonight in 14th, and it looked like you were slowly kind of clawing your way forward. But it seemed like maybe it was the long run speed tonight where you're struggling a little bit. And then when that late race caution happened with 10 to go, I'm sure you're just thinking, hey, this is an opportunity to maybe go get a good finish now. And you certainly got that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I didn't have great long run speed, and then after the pit stop, I made contact with Tad Dabney, and then almost spun it out going on cold tires. So that whole second run, my tires were not good after a bad pit stop. So I was very relieved to see that caution. In fact, like 2 laps before it came out, I was telling Noah, I'm like, I need a caution now, and it happened not too long after.
We asked Jordan the same question, or Bradley did earlier, with what had happened with Noah Mahalski and Philip Brewer. Were you guys kind of thinking something is going to happen? These guys are going to get tangled up some sort of way. And were you ready for that? Did you think it was going to happen, or did it catch you by surprise at all?
Oh, I was for sure. I was for sure that was going to happen. I saw that wreck, and I'm like, if Noah gets back up to him, it's going to not go good. And I don't think Noah was necessarily intending to do what he did. But I was I didn't like the way that he was racing my teammate, and so I'm glad that he wasn't just staying still. I think he didn't mean to do that. And there's some net code in there, I believe, but yeah, I knew from that last restart that there's a chance that there could be a wreck. I just wasn't expecting it to actually happen. When it actually happens, you're like, no way.
Yeah, it certainly caught us a little off guard as well. We thought there was a possibility of it, but seeing Jordan Trask squeak through for the win, you getting second, was certainly a surprise, I think, to all of our viewers. Caleb, we go out to North Wilkesboro in 1 week's time. We know that short tracks are kind of your thing, right? That's where you're most confident. It's where you got one of your wins here in the SNR Challenger Series at a short track in Bristol. What do you think you got to go out to North Wilkesboro? Do you have what it takes? Maybe go get another win?
I think the expectation is that I'm contending for a win next week. If you look at Season 2 Cup, I was running 6 in that race before me and Julio got together, and then I had a modified car the rest of the time. It still got a top 10. So I think anything less than a top 5 finish at North Wilkesboro would be a disappointment for me.
Well, we certainly expect you to be fast on the short tracks, as we always do. Caleb, second place tonight. I'm sure you'll get out of here and take it. But real quick, before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank, maybe give a shout out to?
Grandma Weekly, I forgot to send her the race, so she's not watching this live, and I'm really mad about it. But she watches every race. I'd like to thank you guys at V Speed for, host or doing this broadcast every week. I'd like to thank Noah. He sometimes keeps me from not going insane in the team chat, and just everyone at SNR. This league, you truly can't find anything like it. And even though that was kind of a what show at the end, I really think that the level of competition in this league is almost unmatched across iRacing.
Well, we certainly appreciate the kind words. And Caleb, congrats again on a second place finish. That was a wild ending. We'll see you at North Wilkesboro in 1 week's time.
Yep.
So as Caleb Weekly, driver of the number 13, gets himself a second place finish, a surprising second place finish. You might have it despite all what happened. But now we move on to our third place finisher, and he is standing alongside with Bradley Cooper. It's Chuck Sweeting in that number 75.
Chuck Sweeting, it's been a while. Good to hear from you again. And it was looking like a podium day. We had glimpses of that all the way through this race. Shortcut on the strategy and maybe falling through the field, but you did an impressive job holding off with older tires at the start of this race and putting yourself in a better situation to finish this thing out. We threw all that out the window, though, with that late caution. You put yourself out of pit road in the top 5, and everything fell apart from there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's good to talk to you too. It has been, it's been too long, man. Yeah, I know they give us plenty of tires in this league, and I probably should have done what everybody else did and take those tires early. And instead, I had to save and try to get as much out of them as I could. And then that got me way behind, and then was able to make up for it somewhat. And then, like you say, all that strategy and tire stuff went out the window at the end, and I was just lucky to miss that last wreck and the one before that caused the caution I got close to. So it's a good run tonight.
Yeah, solid third place. And, Chuck, you've had ups and downs here at SNR, but I know that you're one of the more talented guys that I've raced with, and you're always clean. I've never had a moment where I've been on the racetrack with you where I feel like you've done me dirty or raced me harder than, what you felt you were capable of and put me in a bad spot. So let's go back to what happened with the 03 and the 44. Do you think that surprised you? I don't think we were very surprised.
No, when there's a late race caution, you have a green white checker, anything can happen. I'm a little surprised because I thought Philip would just get a jump and be way out ahead. So, but I really couldn't see any of that going through 1 and 2 because I had people around me and I was watching them and watching where I was on the track. So all I know is they started spinning and they were going left and right, and I somehow got through it. So, but yeah, that's what happens when it comes down to a green white checker. So not a big deal. But yeah, the league is fun. I race guys clean as I possibly can. It's about having fun. Joe has a fun league here, and if I'm not clean, then I'm not having fun. If nobody else is clean, then I'm not having fun. So I wouldn't be here otherwise. But yeah, that's more important to me, is just having a good time. The wins come when they come, and just have a good time doing what I love to do.
Well, we got North Wilkesboro next up on the schedule. The 75 car looking really strong. Gotta say, I love the unique paint scheme every single week, and looking at what looks like a Damascus purple and pink machine anodized on the rims. 75 third place. Anybody you want to shout out, Chuck?
Yeah, just thank you to Jeff, Chad, and all the guys, Walking and Rolling, all the sponsors, everybody that puts this thing on week in and week out. I know it's a lot of work for them, and they put a lot of their free time into it. So I appreciate that, and appreciate all the respect from all the drivers. And we'll just keep digging all season.
There you go, Chuck Sweeting, third place finish here. Started in 5th position. Actually, 2nd position here tonight. Sorry, my telemetry's broken, Chuck, so I'm a little bit off tonight. But appreciate you coming up here into the broadcast booth, and hopefully we'll see you next week at North Wilkesboro.
All right, thanks a lot.
So there you have it, Jeff. You're the man in charge. You saw the fireworks. I knew that it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. Well, we weren't quite expecting it to maybe be intentional. I think that there was nothing malicious. It was just tough racing there at the end.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You knew that nobody was going to be giving an inch after that incident there. I know Philip Burr, leading 80 laps tonight, 80% of the entire race, and then to have that happen, that definitely hurts, and you hate it for him. But that's racing sometimes. And and I just want to shout out, to all the other admins that help put this on. These guys, they shout, me and Chad out a lot, but Reggie Ortega, Brian Chambliss, they're just as much help operating this league. No one of us could do this by ourselves, Bradley. And so I just want to make sure that those guys get that recognition. It really is a team effort. And I appreciate Chuck, and all the other guys that we've talked to that, always, show their appreciation for SNR and what we do, because, sometimes it's not easy, Bradley, and sometimes, you don't always want to do it, but hearing things like that, that guys truly do appreciate this and appreciate us, that really helps us keep going. And so I just want to say thanks to those guys. And we couldn't do it without all the great support of our sponsors, but also all of our great drivers. And it certainly helps to have one of the best broadcast teams in the industry, Bradley. And I mean that with you and everybody else at V-Speed.
Well, for the lack of telemetry and the qualifying, we still have another one. The guys that recognize it, we shout out to you and Jeff Wright, Chad Klinger, Ryan Chambliss, and the whole group of people that put on Saturday Night Racing League. We're about to go racing at the Cup Series, but it's next week here. Moving on to North Wilkesboro for the Challenger Series, the short track that needs no introduction. A lot of history here since the track was reestablished, became part of the Chase, and also became part of the Clash. It's been revitalized and rescanned here on iRacing. That will be 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time, but we've got a race at 10 p.m. If you guys can catch us there at Iowa Speedway, where Jeff Wright and a few others are going to tail that champion from last season. Jeff, he's leading the points, but I think you guys have something for him.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Bailey Turner's been on it tonight, and we certainly all are chasing him. Should be a fun show at Iowa tonight, and it's a legacy version, so the better version of Iowa. I think that we could all agree. But I'm going to go get in the car, Bradley. I need some practice if I want to compete with that 24 tonight.
Alrighty, well, you've been watching the Saturday Night Racing League and the Challenger Series. Catch us in about half an hour time. We go live at Iowa. Until then, everybody, stay tracking.